Have you ever heard of the homing pigeon by Hustler? Well, neither had I. This was an indoor antenna specifically for CBers stuck in an apartment where the landlord allowed nothing on the roof or out of the window. It was for where the slightest inkling of a CB antenna brought out 50 neighbours blaming every form of TVI on the CBer. Anyone who couldn't or wouldn't install a roof-mounted CB base station antenna in the 1970s was finally given a solution from Hustler. Nutronics Corporation in Cleveland, Ohio was behind the famous Hustler brand of CB and amateur radio antennas. 1977 saw the announcement of a new instant setup indoor antenna that was ready for full 40-channel operation in minutes. The homing pigeon was an electrical half-wavelength end-fed antenna concealed inside a pole. Designated the HP27, this unique innovation in base station CB antennas gave CBers the ability to operate a base station anywhere, such as a condo, house, apartment, office or motel, without having to install a roof, window or balcony-mounted antenna. The Hustler homing pigeon was contained in a decorative housing that was similar to a telescopic polecat, the type of device that clamps between the floor and ceiling and is used to support several lamps. Like a polecat, the antenna installed instantly between any floor and ceiling from 7.5 to 9.5 feet high and only took up 1.5 square inches of floor space. Decorative metal sleeves that slid up and down the pole served as capacitive tuning devices, but you still had to use an SWR meter. A supplied gauge allowed you to position the sleeves well inside the ballpark, and you could get quite good results with the gauge settings, though a peak trim with an SWR meter gave optimum results. SWR at resonance was adjustable to 1.1 or better. For 40-channel operation, SWR averaged well below 2 to 1 according to Hustler. They claimed that the homing pigeon was a perfect match for 23 or 40-channel CB on FM, AM or SSB. The homing pigeon apparently worked best when not in close proximity to metal screens or large metal objects such as a filing cabinet. Even in a timber frame house, Hustler suggested the antenna be positioned at least 1.5 feet from the nearest wall. As for aluminium cladding, this rendered the antenna a complete failure, with signal barely reaching a couple of blocks down the street. On the other hand, when used 10 stories up in a modern concrete building, signals ranged up to 10 miles, the actual distance depending on how much building was between the antenna and the rest of the world. Tests performed by Nutronics indicated that performance of the Hustler homing pigeon was excellent, providing a communications range equal or similar to better mobile installations. The HP27 was supplied complete with a 17-foot coax cable and factory-installed connectors. The suggested list price was $42.95, but this wasn't the only antenna of its kind. 1977 was the year of the homing pigeon for Hustler, but it seemed to disappear from the shelves soon after. 1979 saw Radio Shack release the Metropole half-wave CB antenna. This was a spring-loaded device that fit ceilings up to 8.25 feet high, but came with just 7 feet of coax cable. It disappeared from their catalogues by 1981, after increasing in price, and I can only assume that like the homing pigeon, it wasn't a big seller. I can see why, despite the odd positive review here and there, an indoor antenna in that configuration would have probably been hard work to tune and operate with any safe SWR level. The chances of positioning it at a sufficient distance away from metal and other large objects would have been slim in most average apartments or houses, and unless you had huge glass windows on all sides in a tall block, you stood little to no chance of achieving any distance with this antenna. Do you remember these antennas? Did you own one? Were there any others by different companies? Let me know.